Hello, everyone. This is the first time I am doing this, so who knows how it'll go. But I'm just going to give everyone a moment to arrive. I just posted on Patreon what I'm up to, so I think that, yeah, well, y'all might have some access soon. So I was thinking I could start this live stream basically with a little bit of a reading from the Living Altar. And I am not sure who is here or if this is going to record fully, but I believe that to ask a question, you need to subscribe to the channel. If you're logged in to YouTube, that should be fine. And I think you have to have a Google account in order to have a YouTube account now. And so if you are here, you can put whatever questions you have in the chat. And let's see. So welcome if you are here. My idea with these Q&As is that this month and next month, I wanted to have them basically be open to the public for free. I often have a lot of people ask me questions when they get private readings from me, or I teach classes about different subjects like literature and creative writing, art, as well as magical subjects, tarot, tea leaf reading, palmistry, and other types of magical self-care. So I thought it would be cool to incorporate a Q&A session in my Evil Eye tier on Patreon, which is $6 a month. So starting in April, it'll just be available to people on that tier. But for now, I thought I could give everyone a sense of what it is I'm going to do, and then also give myself a chance to tailor it a bit. And so just to give people a moment to arrive, if you're here and you have some questions, please put them in the chat. I would love to answer things. And I am reading from, yay, hi Kiki. I'm reading actually from Kiki's and Elba's Living Altar deck. And excuse me, I've been moving in a moldy basement, so I'm a little like short of breath. But I'm not moving into a moldy basement. I'm moving things from a moldy basement. So yeah, I thought I'd just pull a card to set the tone of the evening while y'all think about what it is you might like to ask. And ideally, this will be recorded for Patreon. I have never done a live stream before, and so hopefully I do that correctly and everything is saved. If it's not, that's okay. I tried my best. I'll figure it out. And so I'm pulling a card just for some general advice this evening. And with the intention that the message is what y'all and I also need to hear. Hello, Courtney. Courtney, you have a very funny username. We're in the bad place. That makes me really happy. Oh, hello, Ilva. So actually, the card that I pulled is one of the spell cards from the deck, which I find really fascinating. And so it's an invitation right now to just look at the beautiful artwork in the Living Altar deck. And you can get the Living Altar from Sea Grape Apothecary and a number of other small booksellers. It's on thelivingaltar.com. All the lists of where you can get it. But take a moment to reflect. And the next card I pulled is Emergence. So the idea is sometimes I like to pull oracle cards just with like, what do I need to know right now as an intention? Sometimes I have a little bit more of an intention, but or I want to be a little more specific, but not today. So again, like this is my favorite oracle deck. I try to incorporate into a lot of the classes I teach. And I just want to read the spell by Kiki Robinson and Ilva Rajaszewski for Emergence. I gather myself to a place and space and time named inspiration, where I find myself wrapped in the fierce grace of my innocence. I return to a place where I am whole, perfect, and complete. Here I emerge overflowing with the magic of undifferentiated potential. I am free of the conditions that would cause me fear and pain. I unfold my heart free of doubt and uncertainty. I am the illumination calling forth my potential. With wonder, I begin anew. I call back my power from all that I have been and all that I have experienced, so that I may embark on a new course with renewed purpose and hope. And so this feels really perfect for starting a new project. So my Patreon is pretty new, and I feel really new to this space, and so I'm really excited. And I hope that you get to reflect a bit on what is emerging in your lives and how you would like to emerge. So Ilva asks, would you share about your writing process? So thank you so much for that question. I really, really appreciate it. um, my writing process has really changed a lot over the years. I think when I was younger, maybe about 10 years ago and before, I used to write everything out. Um, it was like I discovered by writing. I like feverishly journaled. I wrote poems like constantly. I was always creating something. It was like all of my emotions were like translated onto the page. Now, I, I don't really do that in the same way. A lot of my emotions are in my brain for quite a while. And it takes me a lot of like meditation and movement and consideration to think about what is going to make it onto the page. I think I could maybe like pull a little bit from my younger self and kind of be a little freer with it. But it seems like I am looking a lot more for inspiration, I think, outside of myself now, not to necessarily like emulate what other people are doing, but I always want to be like immersed in some artwork, some podcast where I'm learning about something, time period, a documentary. And so then from there, I often do a lot of like trance work. And I've been also mapping out a lot, like drawing a lot of what I would like to write about, which I never really did before. And I think because I've been working on the same book for like years and it's changed a lot. Right now, my writing process is like, it almost feels like I'm digging through something. And I have way more prayer and like meditation involved in my writing process now, whereas before it was just like I was like expelling onto a page. And whereas I think now my creativity is a lot more ritualized, it seems to be what I need right now. But it's always really interesting when I still sometimes have periods where I'm just like rushing everything out. And that also feels like something is being moving through me rather than it's like coming from me. So I think maybe my writing process feels a little bit more like a channel now than like a generator. And it's definitely punctuated by ritual and like a lot of my process is about like settling into my body. Hi, Felicia. Yeah. So thank you for that question. Does anyone else, you made it. Does anyone else have any questions? I am happy to talk about any of the types of divination that I do. any aspect of cultural stuff that you might be curious about, creating a podcast, artwork, writing, etc. Ooh, okay. I need some crystal inspiration. What are you using lately? This is such a good question. So I have been working at Deadwicks, which is a magical supply shop basically in Portsmouth, or I guess in like an emporium. That's really fun. And so every day I have like a whole array of crystals to like choose from. And I've been really gravitating toward pink opal, tektite, and angel quartz. And tektite is like it's for like a meteoric crystal or like a stone or mineral, I guess. And it's really lucky, but it's also protective, and it's like it attracts really good luck. And pink opal is all about like calming that anxiety, which I'm a very anxious creature. And the angel quartz is for like divine communication. And I just really like the way they look together. Like the tektite is like a really shiny black, the pink opal is super pale pink, and then the angel quartz is like very iridescent. And I just like to rattle them around in my hands as I'm like, getting ready to read for somebody or like kind of getting in my space. And I have some rose quartz in my pocket right now because it's a favorite. Um, Thank you for that. So Kiki is asking, my favorite go-to psychic protection. That is such a good question. Actually, I learned one from you that I love, which is the flaming roses. I think about that one a lot. Walls of flaming roses around me. Um, and yeah, Courtney, I agree. Definitely need some pink opal for the anxiety. Another favorite is that I like to go to what feels like a sacred space. I often go to like an internal like forest that has like it's surrounded by water. And so I will like go there before I go to sleep. So because I used to have really bad dreams, and I've noticed like when I'm taking myself like to my safe forest, I tend not to have bad dreams as much. And that's something that my grandmother taught me. And she also suggested that you invite in like animals to be protectors for you. So she always has a deer. And so I like to have a deer as well. And the idea is that like the earth is like grounding you, and then the water around you is like sort of like a barrier. And it's also very cleansing. And it's just like this really cool visualization of like creating your own safe space. That's like a place where you can actually really go to, like an environment. But I also love, I think I had a meditation teacher always describe like a golden mist that surrounds you or wherever you are, which I think is really nice. And I love the flaming roses in that same way, where it's like if you're in the physical world, like you can create a barrier with those things as well. Hi, Katie. And let's see. Okay, so Felicia asked my process for reading cards for somebody. That is such a great question. Thank you. These are also good, and I really appreciate you being here. um, so, what I like to do, so like if I'm reading in a session, well, I do this for friends too, but I usually give like context to how I read if they've never read with me before. I have a kind of like spiel that I like to give where here's my spiel. So it's Lily. Um, so I like to say that I read in my Romani family's tradition on my mother's side, and I explain who Roma are, a diasporic ethnic group originally from India, but a long time ago, also known as gypsies. And then oh, Lily's barking. Come here, Lily. Um, yes, it is the queen of the zone. Come here, baby. And so then I say that, Roma are more likely to refer to, or likely to be referred to as gypsies, but that's not the preferred term because it's technically a slur. And I let them know that Romani is preferred. And then I let them know just like, basically, fortune telling is really based on like where you are at the moment. Rough. I have to let her. I was trying to focus on answering and it's impossible. Lily has things that she needs to bark at. So yeah, I just let them know that basically like things change, you have free will, but like this is meant to kind of help you navigate the present moment. And then I ask them if there's anything specific that they want me to focus on or if they just want to see what's coming up for them. Almost all the time, almost everybody says they just want to see what's coming up, which I think is interesting. It might be where I read. And then I do like a really quick meditation as I'm shuffling, based on whatever intention they gave me, if they had a specific thing, or if I'm just like, what do they need to know right now? And I say a quick prayer to my ancestors, my spirit guides, their spirit guides, the deities I work with. If they work with any deities, I kind of invite them in the space. And as I'm like shuffling, usually just like 3 times, kind of slowly as I'm meditating, I am like creating a safe space because I always like cleanse the room that I'm reading in and everything and, set barriers and protections before I start. But I like to like invoke that again with the person. And then when I've shuffled, usually 3 times, I will cut the deck in 2 piles and ask them which one they would like me to draw from. If I'm reading for someone online, I'll just ask if they're feeling more drawn to their left or their right side. And then I usually do like my version of the Celtic cross, but I have some clients who really prefer just like a couple cards and like to ask me like rapid fire questions. And so I like to try to tailor it for what they need rather than like dictate what I think they should need. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions about that. Um, oh, I love what Ilva is saying about the flaming roses connecting to trans ancestors. That's beautiful. Um, Hi, Steve. Does anyone have any other questions while we're here? I'm just kind of skimming to see if I have missed anything. I don't even want to think about what Lily is doing. It's so funny, like when I'm teaching, she is so active. She has things to do, things to bark at, but otherwise she just like sleeping all day like, next to me and it's very quiet. um let's see. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any other questions that come up, but we could also shift into something else. Ooh, herbs that I'm drawn to lately. Thank you, Courtney. Um, I have been really, oh, hi, Dia. I've been really into marshmallow lately because I got a virus a few weeks ago, and I've just like, I talk so much for like Friday, Saturday, Sunday when I'm reading a ton. And so I've been using like marshmallow tincture in my water. I've been drinking a lot of throat coat tea. And I also take like enormous amounts of a pain relief formula that Jenaline Joseph makes for me from Sostimos Holistic Health. It's great, Romani Ayurvedic practitioner. And it has turmeric in it, boswellia, black pepper, and maybe something, there might be ashwagandha in there too. And I take that like 3 times a day, and I really love it. And I also have been taking like a liver cleansing because I've had some liver issues, and she also makes that for me, and it has like all kinds of stuff in it. But I know especially like shepherd's purse is in there, and it's very helpful. And yeah, I'm always like drawn to orange blossom and roses, and I tend to use those more like aromatically, just like smelling them or like putting the cologne in my bath or something. But I love flowers and try to like surround myself with floral energy all the time. And I use a lot of like just a few drops of flower essences in my bath. And I've been using henbane a lot because feel like I've been trying to like connect with like poison magic, shadow magic, but in like a safe way. And that feels really good. Rough. Now she wants back in. Come on, monster. Come on. Oh my gosh, she's the best. But she's also bad. Such a little goblin. Okay, so tarot. So from Dia Tarot cards to pull from. I've been super into this deck called oh, what is it called? The ooh, Darkwood. It took me a second. Darkwood Tarot. I've been reading with it a lot at Deadwicks. I have been really, really wanting to buy the Hoodoo Tarot that Caitlin Foisey and Tiana Lee McQuiller created together. It looks so cool and it's like so beautifully illustrated. So I'm not technically reading with it yet, but I'm saving up for it. I really want it. I also have been drawing a lot from Mystic Mondays. It's just like a really cheerful deck. Everything looks like candy. And so if I'm feeling like sometimes I sort of anxiously pull tarot cards like for advice if I'm like stressed out. And I do like, meditate and ground and everything, but it's like a self-care thing. And whatever card you get, it's like it just sort of looks magical, like cotton candy. And so it's good. I like to read with this one if I need like a little uplifting. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. And I do a lot of like, what do I need to know about this situation kind of questions. And so it's nice to have something that like even the Nine of Swords doesn't look that rough. It's just kind of sweet. Um, and this is by Grace Duong. And there's also the black and gold edition of the Rider Waite deck that I've been really into. It's really shiny and like metallic, and it's just very pretty. It feels very classy. Rough. And so Ilva is asking, I know she's doing really naughty things every time I open the door. I don't know what you need. Okay. She might know how to open the door from now on. Rough. I can hear her barking in the hallway. I don't know what she wants. So Ilva's asking, are there particular ways that I work with lunar phases? Yeah, that's an awesome question. I definitely am very focused on the new and full moon. And I really think energetically about whether the moon is waxing or waning. And so a lot of I take daily baths and I light candles with intentions and I like bless the water. And depending on what phase of the moon we're in, I usually focus on that energy. And so the bath might be for cleansing in the waning moon when it's getting smaller. And I call in like abundance during the waxing moon when it's getting bigger. And I focus a lot on, the day before the new moon for like cleansing and protection, and the day after for bringing in abundance and like planting a seed. And yeah, I like to do that too. I could do more, I think, with like the in-between phases because they all have really special meanings. But right now I've been in a very black and white kind of space where I'm either on or off. So the new and full moon are like nice little polars for me. I do not know what she wants. She has everything she could need. I think she just hates it when I start talking to the computer. Okay. And Orange Rind has been calling to you, Katie. That's so cool. What do you use it for? Yeah, any other questions while I'm here? I'm gonna just check and see why this is happening, and I'll be back. Lily, leave him alone. He's going to bed. Come on. Here's the solution. She's sitting in front of my dad. Oh my gosh, she's sitting in front of my dad's room yelling because he just got back from a trip, and I think she feels like he hasn't paid his respects to her enough or something. I'm not sure. But he's in bed because he's tired. And you're a monster. Yeah, any other questions for me about any of the things this evening? Ooh, herbal infusions. Yeah, I've used orange rind and like blessing oils before. She's like a tiny monster. Why are you so mad? Why are you so bad? I think that Lily also like gets sensitive if I'm because I did a little protection before I did this and like kind of called in some good spirits and she gets kind of feisty when I call in good spirits. Yeah, you full of the Holy Ghost. Oh, Pisces season advice and predictions and feelings. That's a good one. I just did so I have a monthly column in Bustle for the month ahead tarot reading. And the thing, and I just wrote it today, it hasn't come out yet. You stay here, Goblin. Go to bed. Um, the thing that came up the most was so the Ten of Wands was like, this is the vibe we're in. And it feels very much like if you've been working really hard towards something, like you've probably like pulled a win or like, made some successes, but you still have a lot on your plate. But I think sometimes for me, this card can also be like you worked really hard on something and it's time to like tie a bow on it and move on either to the next phase of it or like the next thing. And the idea is just sort of like acknowledging, like, whew, maybe we're coming into Pisces season like a little exhausted. Maybe Aquarius season kind of had us doing a lot of airy, visionary, dreaming, and scheming kind of work. And now we're just sort of like sliding into Pisces season. And the other things that came up as a situation was the Seven of Swords, which is kind of like, be wary of the energy around you. Make sure that you're being honest with yourself. Listen if you feel like the vibe is off with other people. This might be a time where people have kind of like showed you maybe their true selves in a way that you didn't find super appealing. Um, I miss Aquarius season too. Even though I have a Pisces moon, I should be more into the Pisces season right now. Um, yeah, and so like if you feel like the situation's sketchy around you, like you don't have to basically lie to yourself and be like, oh, it's fine. Like it's a good time to follow your instinct with that. Um, and it's also a good time to like in the midst of being stressed and sort of like figuring out how you're going to navigate your way around things, it's really important to call in inspiration and joy wherever you can, because the Page of Wands came up as like the obstacle. It's like the energy that we're having trouble accessing. And if you're feeling inspired to like get into things, um, make sure that you're doing some planning so you're not just like starting stuff and then abandoning it, especially if other people's energy feels off. Like don't let that deter you if it's something that you really care about. And then the Queen of Pentacles came up as like the action. So like a lot of really lovely grounding self-care, like making sure your basic needs are being met, like coming up with rituals and routines to like help ground you, especially if you have a lot on your plate. And the Tower was the lesson. So it's kind of like I think Pisces season is probably going to bring in some change, but I think it's going to be change that we really need, especially if like there's a lot of Seven of Swords kind of energy out there, where things feel a little off maybe with certain situations. And so, like, whatever shifts are coming or changes are coming, feel like they're probably, even if they're stressful, even if it's like a little too much at the time, it'll end up being for the best. When I drew that, I felt like it very much resonated with like the move that I'm getting ready to do, where I'm just like, I do not have time or energy for this, but I know once it's done, I'll be glad about it. But yeah, and there are other reasons why I felt like that resonated with me, but yeah, I think that's what Pisces season is going to feel like. Um, ooh, Dia asks my favorite card to pull that I feel the most aligned with. No, Lily, no more barking. I love the Nine of Pentacles. Like every time I see the Nine of Pentacles, I'm like, oh, thank you. Like, and I love it because it feels so luxurious. And it's just like, honey, all you need to do is just focus on being happy. Like, figure out what makes you comfortable. Like, think about like what you need to be content. Lily, come here. And I don't always feel like I am like naturally in a Nine of Pentacles place. But in terms of like what I would love my self-care to be, that's like where I want to be with it. It's like also very focused, because I can be a little ungrounded sometimes. And so whenever the Nine of Pentacles comes up, it's like, get your feet in that lush grass. like, eat some grapes and take a nap, and more abundance is coming. Like, there's power here. There's power in your comfort, which feels really, really good. Especially if you maybe didn't grow up being encouraged to like relax and be comfortable and prioritize your content nature. So feels really good. Oh, I love what you're saying, Katie, about the card. Like it's your card of sovereignty. I feel that. I love the concept of sovereignty. I've been thinking a lot about surrender and sovereignty, and they're both really big concepts that are really important. Does anyone have a favorite card that they want to throw in to the chat? Or any other questions for me? Good girl, Lily. She fell asleep in the closet. Did you exhaust yourself from barking and running around? Oh, I love the magician too. What I love about the magician is that it's like there's manifestation, but it's like using all the resources you have available to you. Like there's practical stuff you can do, there's magical stuff you can do, and like you're learning how to pull it all together. It feels so reassuring. I love the star. I've been thinking Ilva did a reading for me recently, and the star came up. It's like my guide, and I was like, yeah, that feels really good. I also the Two of Pentacles is nice. With the Two of Pentacles, I always think about like you're already juggling, and then like if someone throws another ball in, it's like you're okay. You're gonna keep going. Like you've got it. It feels very relaxing. Ooh, the priestess, of course. Yeah, the priestess is great. Yeah, I love it. And the hanged man, so good too. The hanged man is like the card of surrender, and yeah, that's one of like I was saying, like one of the concepts I've been really, really into lately. And it's like in the Darkwood Tarot, the hanged man, it's like a actually. Felicia, you would love this. It's like a beautiful vampire who's like hanging upside down like a cute little bat, and she sort of looks like a butterfly chrysalis or like a moth chrysalis. And so um yeah, so she's like mid transformation, and it's kind of like you have to like hang out there during the transformation. You have to surrender to that process because you're goo melting in your chrysalis, and then you can flap out of it. um Yeah, I think a lot of people do feel uncomfortable with the hanged man. I find the butterfly metaphor to be a good way in for a lot of people who, whenever I pull it for them, they're like, "Oh no," but it's like, "No, no, butterfly, it's okay." Also, I think the devil is very interesting. I love to hear your thoughts about the devil. I think it's a nice invitation to look into like ways in which you need to be selfish, and also like patterns you're ready to let go of. And I also love how in a lot of folklore, especially Romani folklore, I think it's like you face down the hero faces down the devil and always kind of outsmarts him, like because the devil is really just a reflection of like stuff we're struggling with. Um, ooh, Temperance and the Hierophant. Yeah, I would love to talk about that. With the Temperance card, it feels so much like it's balance and patience. And I always think about how like if you're planting a garden by seed, it would be really strange if it all came up the very next day. And like each as the plant grows, like it has really specific stages that it needs to hit. Like it needs to throw down its little roots, and it needs to have little sprouts, and like there are little parts of it that need to mature, and you wouldn't want to rush it. Like all of it has to take its sweet time. And so with the lesson with temperance for me is sort of like there's beauty in the unfolding. There are things that are necessary to learn, understand, experience at each stage. And it's kind of like giving yourself grace to let everything unfold in the time it needs to unfold. And with the Hierophant is one of the cards I think that like I feel like I have a solid relationship with all the cards. And I think the Hierophant is the one that is like still slightly obscure to me in some ways. I think a lot about the Hierophant as like hierarchy, our relationship to systems, and trying to figure out our place in systems where we embrace tradition and where we bump up against it. And I like the idea of, in some decks, the Hierophant is also called the Pope. And sometimes we're like working with the Pope or like at the feet of the Pope. And other times we like become the Pope. And it's like we are the direct channel to God versus like someone interpreting for us. And so the Hierophant, I feel like how I interpret it always change, like the meaning can range really dramatically based on like who I'm reading for, what the situation is, the vibe I'm getting from the person or from myself. And so sometimes it's all about like coming into yourself as a teacher, and other times it's like you need to apply for some grants or like see what like opportunities are there in the company you're in, like will they pay for you to go to school, like. So sometimes it can be very practical and other times it can be very magical for me. Oh, Elva, I like what you're saying. The devil is an invitation for self-liberation and the hanged man is an opportunity for character assessment. That's awesome. Oh, interesting. So the death card has been coming up a lot for you. I love the death card. I think it's so cool just that it's not just endings, it's like the whole cycle of death and rebirth is like wrapped up in the death card and that like mystical liminal space of transformation in the middle. Ooh, okay, so Dia is asking the cards that would indicate a happy relationship or soulmate relationship. That's such a good question. I don't know if I believe in soulmates, but I know what I know what you're saying. I have a friend who she's a Navajo and Cherokee like medicine worker, and she said to me that you can have 1,000 soulmates. You can have a soulmate for a week, and I was just like, that's great. Like I love that, and it felt very true to me. So I like to share that. She's great, and so like whenever I'm doing like relationship readings for people, and like I have a lot of couples come in who are like just about to get married. And when they're in a really good vibe, the cards that you would expect come up, like the Two of Cups, the Eights of Cups, the Ten of Cups. Sometimes the Lovers comes up, although I feel like the Lovers is very much more about like choice and commitment versus like the health of the relationship. Um, and the Nine of Pentacles can come up a lot where it's just sort of like, oh, just relax into this, like feel good in the place that you're in with this person, like build a home with them. The Four of Wands often comes up when people are like figuring out like how they want to build their home together or build their lives together. And the Six of Cups often comes up when people are in the Empress, come up a lot when people are figuring out if they maybe want to have a family. But yeah, there are other cards like the Sun can be about like moving toward happiness together and like figuring out what happiness means for the two of you. And I've also seen cards, I've seen the High Priestess pop up for relationships when people are really like trying to figure out how they work on a spiritual level too. But it's really interesting because I've definitely had for myself and like for clients had these cards come up in really loving ways, even if the relationship was not going to last. But the idea was that there's like a really important connection that they needed to experience. And sometimes like I've seen it more so with other people, but a little bit with myself. I just don't have that many relationships, but basically like all these really positive cards being like, yeah, like keep going, keep going, keep going. And then they like don't work out. And maybe the relationship is kind of short lived. But like the experience of the relationship was like very, very good for both of them in some way, where they learned something really important about themselves, or they figured out that they could endure breakups, like it wasn't going to destroy them, and they could, keep putting themselves out there, or they recognized that they like worked through this relationship pattern. And so I think that sometimes those like soulmate cards can come up where it's just like you're doing good work, even if it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to last forever. So I give that like caveat where I think they can be a little sassy sometimes. And they're like, no, keep going. Even Even if it's we kind of keep going. We want you are a monster. Come here. You gotta stop. You have to. You have to. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see what time it is. Ooh, yeah, it's been a little bit. I'm happy to keep answering questions if y'all are tired too. That's also okay. Gonna give you a minute to think about it. I even took her outside right before I started. I don't know what she needs. Just attention. Just chaos. Yeah. If there's anything else, I'm happy to connect with y'all about it. If you wanna also like share amongst yourselves, that's a good time too. Let's see. You're a monster. All right. I think we're good. Yeah, this feels like a good stopping place. Thank you so much for coming on, everybody. It was like really nice to see friends and also a new face. Hi, Steve. And yeah, just super appreciate you. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone. I'll be doing this again next month, toward the end of the month. I will post on my social media and on my Patreon, and it'll be another open, free forum. And yeah, it'll be really fun. So I hope you all have a wonderful night. Wishing you all the very, very best. Bye.